Let's have a go at this exam style question. The question says, Figure 1 shows the relative hormone levels in two girls. One of the girls is 7 years old and the other one is 16 years old. Which of the graphs, A or B, shows the hormone levels of the 16-year-old girl? Explain your answer. And there are 2 marks available. This question has 2 parts to it. So firstly, it's asking us to identify which graph shows the hormone levels of the 16-year-old. And secondly, it's asking us to explain our answer once we've identified which graph is showing the hormone levels of the 16-year-old. Let's have a closer look at the graphs. Now, we've got a key down here which tells us the names of the hormones shown in both the graphs. So we've got progesterone, luteinizing hormone, and estrogen. Let's just remind ourselves of what those hormones do. So estrogen makes the lining of the uterus grow again after menstruation, and it also controls the development of female secondary sexual characteristics. Luteinizing hormone is the hormone that stimulates the release of an egg, and progesterone maintains the lining of the uterus. Now in the graphs you can see the time in days on the x-axis, and you can notice that actually each of those graphs is showing 28 days, which is the length of the average menstrual cycle. On the y-axis, we have the relative hormone level, so the amount of those 3 hormones that are given in the key. So hopefully you'll remember that during puberty, girls produce higher levels of these hormones so that the body can control the development of not only the secondary sexual characteristics, but also to control the menstrual cycle. And therefore, graph A, showing the higher levels of hormones, is likely to be the graph that is a 16-year-old girl. Because if you look, you can see the levels of those 3 hormones here are much higher, and they're also more varied compared to in graph B, where the 3 hormones have a much lower relative hormone level. So let's have a go at putting that into an answer. So remember, firstly, we need to give the name of the graph we believe to be the 16-year-old girl. And so we can put in graph A down here. And now we need to explain. So I'm going to put graph A because you would expect a 16-year-old to have higher levels progesterone, luteinizing hormone, and estrogen compared to a 7-year-old. Okay, so that's 2 marks. You've got 1 mark for identifying the graph correctly and the 2nd mark for giving your reason. As it's only 2 marks, we don't need to really go into any further details, so you wouldn't need to talk about roles of any of those hormones. It's just simply a matter of saying the graph and giving a simple reason.